Hi there, and welcome to this pre-recording of Webinar 6 for Global Strategy and Leadership. My name is Chris Thomas. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, where are we up to? It's week 6. We should be finishing off Module 4, which we are, and going into Module 5. And note too that Module 4 has been a little bit quicker, and I think students have probably felt it's a bit easier than 3, or especially Module 2. Module 5, I think is okay, but it's also got a weighting of 17%. So you could expect a few more MCQs, perhaps at least in the general theory part, in Module 5 than Module 4. In terms of our subject map, today we want to go over modes of entry to a new market. And this can be a new geographical market or a new customer market. It tends to be that examples that CPA give and past feedback I've had on the exam, it's been about a new geographical market. Then we will start Module 5, and look, it starts with vision and mission, and we touch on that in terms of values a little bit and goals in Module 3, but not that much. And so this is more of a succinct section on what's a vision, what's a mission, what are values, what are goals, how do they go together, are they important, are they not? And then we will try and clear up a common area of confusion between drivers and levers, and probably that'll be enough for this webinar. Week 7 we'll move into evaluating strategic options and Rummelt's risk, and we'll then move into Module 6. All right, now even though this is a pre-recording, let's take the opportunity to do another one of these short cases. Okay, this is even a bit shorter than last week in the air cargo industry, but I've got strong feedback from you guys that you enjoy doing this, and it's good practice. So it's good practice whether it's for general MCQs or for those 16 MCQs you're going to get on short cases. So I'll put it up on the screen. Now, of course, you need to pause the recording. I'm not going to disappear for 5 or 6 minutes. I reckon give yourself 5. Give yourself full 5 minutes. Pause this recording as soon as I put the slide up so you can see it. Have a read of it, jot down some notes, and we'll do a couple of quick MCQs on it. Okay? So here is the slide. The story is about Plugger or Plugger systems. It's made up, and I also want you to do a quick SWOT in that. And by doing the SWOT, you should be able to answer some of the MCQs. All right, I'll be back shortly. Have a go at it. All right, you've had your 5 minutes to look into this case, jot down a few notes, think about it in terms of SWOT. Let's have a go at the quizzes. Now, again, with the quiz, it's up to you to pause it, have a look at options A, B, C, and D, and then I will go through the selected answer. So here's the first one, and it's one of these: which of the following statements is most correct? So have a quick look at this, and then we'll go through the answer. All right. So their business strategy weakness is that their new rigs for rough seas may fail too, like their existing ones. Or is it about the fact that they're a context setter in the power interest grid? All right, that's not likely, is it? Are they undertaking a market development strategy by trying to go to Saudi market? As a supplier, do they have a significant power over buyers? So they are a supplier. They have suppliers of raw materials and equipment, but do they have power as a supplier to their buyers? And how much would that be? All right, for the first one, we don't really have enough information to infer this, and it's not nearly as good an answer as the third one. All right? It is a risk, but there's not enough in the case to say that this is a key weakness. Plugger are definitely not a context setter, are they? They don't have any power over their main one customer, Chevron. They are doing a market development strategy. They're trying to take the same equipment and move into the Saudi Arabian market. Yeah? There is not sufficient evidence that other players can't enter the market, and they just don't have the power, do they? As a supplier to Chevron as a buyer. Excuse me. And so they go to the next one. Which of the following is most likely to be a strategic capability for Lugo? So pause now, have a go at it. All right. Correct answer is option C. Design and manufacturing of oil and gas equipment, not rare. It's just that they do it well. Managing relationships with clients. It doesn't talk about, I mean, a strategic capability is also about how the organization is going to do better at something than their competitors. It just doesn't give you the information. It's not that rare. It can be easily copied. The maintenance service program, that's the closest one to a strategic capability. Right. Why? Because it talks about the fact that it's a bit unique, that they're the ones that go out and do it, and they obviously do that very, very well. You could, the difficulty with this one, and it's not written exactly as an exam question would be, because you wouldn't probably have option D, is the fact that it's always easier to justify to yourself there are no strategic capabilities. Now, I don't think you'll probably get there are none as an option in a question. What you have to accept is, although sometimes it feels difficult, you can always say everything can be copied. Right? It's an easy thing in the argument, isn't it, to go, well, it doesn't matter how unique you think your IP is, it can be copied. And we've seen that, especially in the tech industry. It's true. But this concept, CPA testing you that it's valuable, it's rare, it's difficult to copy, and it's non-substitutable. Right? Substitutability is always a difficult test. Could they go and get another rig drilling company to do it? Yes, but is that substituting competitor for competitor? Can they substitute these drill rigs for a completely different type of system to drill? Not that we can see in the case. It's not talking about that sort of technology. Okay. Now I've just done that. Apologies. Okay, this one. Where would the performance indicators of maintenance costs per rig, quality pass rates, rig uptime go? Nice and straightforward. It's about their customers. It's about financial. It's about internal. It's about learning and development. All right, it's definitely most likely going to be an internal related performance measure. Costs associated with equipment failure in the field, quality pass rates, things like uptime, a measure of reliability. Now, what are some of the other ones? Customers, number of new customers, customer feedback about the on-site maintenance, about the quality of the rigs, market share, the number of new prototypes perhaps tested, the number of new patents, their stakeholder relationship strength, right? Very good at the high level with a customer, haven't quite developed it with the Saudis. Financial, it's more down the accountant's alley. ROIs, is it on different types of products? Is it talking about how the sales are going? Is it measuring the COGS, other fixed overheads, that sort of stuff? Now, as you consider a SWOT as well, these are the sort of things you could have had in your SWOT analysis, and they're just quick bullet points. Strengths, patent technology, right? Customer service, they fly their teams out for maintenance, a strength for them. Stakeholder management at a senior level. Note, only with one client. Weaknesses, they don't have multiple revenue streams, and therefore losing one contract is very, very damaging to the business. They're in a very weak bargaining position in terms of the contracts. So they are exposed to cost blowouts. Remember, they wear it when things go wrong, because if you want the multi-million-dollar contract for them, and the buyer is likely to know that these rigs are not being used by a whole bunch of other companies, it's going to be the industry knowledge, and so the buyer has most amount of power. Right? Opportunities, they're chasing opportunities to win other contracts in different world regions, to do a new rig design that gives a potential competitive edge in the market. The threats, again, related to the weaknesses, Chevron walks away. They are in the pool. These drill rig failures keep causing them enormous costs, and it puts them under financial distress fairly quickly. Another competitor comes in, new entrant to the market, they move in on their current market, or they beat into the Saudi market, and they're not able to, they lose that stakeholder relationship strength that they're trying to develop in those new markets. All right? Not running a huge amount. They're the sort of quick things you could be expected to either get one or two of those, the 3 bullet points in strengths and threats. Get two. You might get asked, provide 1 strength, 1 threat, something like that. All right, now remember, very quickly going back over it, product development, 5 key success factors. When we discussed them, we thought about Go Gear. We also thought about that disgusting drink, was it Barista Brothers? All right. Earlier, in terms of understanding needs, your customers are part of the process. Understanding their needs, the better. If you can find unmet needs that the customer may have an inkling about, but is not right in front of their eyes, even better. This is the huge limitation in focus groups. Have been relied on far too long, right? I think focus groups are now proven to be pretty useless. Many others will disagree, but yeah, my passion's marketing. My experience background is in marketing and marketing strategy, and I suppose general strategy, and it's something I have certainly noticed as being, I guess, written about. There's a bit of support for that point of view now. Marketing effort, not just the money, have the right team, be able to execute to plan and on time. Structure your processes, reduce your issues down the track when you're developing that new product. Keep within your time frames. Use the existing technology you've got, because it's always difficult to bring outside technology in. It costs, or you have to upskill the people that you've got. All right, and management support is absolutely critical. We can see that in the escape route case, can't we? There was not the management support for this new online platform. There is the management support with Tony and Go Gear, but it's a bit of a fruitcake. What often goes wrong? People develop the wrong product or service right at the start. You'd think, that's crazy, how can you do that? But it happens. Definitely inadequate planning, cost blowouts, timing blowouts, schedule delays, performance issues, developing a crap product related to Barista. But you know, the A380, the Dreamliner, Boeing's Dreamliner, what a screw up. They moved to a system of a huge amount of it being outsourced, and they were going to deliver it quicker and cheaper, and the absolute opposite happened because they didn't have adequate planning, governance, control, great project management, and you had Germans doing something and Turkish people doing something and the French doing something and the Americans doing something, and wires didn't match up and the wrong color codings were used, and it was one stuff up after another. It blew that budget out of those planes massively. But what it meant to quite good planes. Right? We briefly talked about Walmart in terms of that quiz about how you can enter a new market, and they use wholly owned operations, but they screwed it up in Germany. New market development, it's in the study guide, but also remember for your own career, it's not just, oh, China's massive, what a massive market, 1.3 billion people, we just have to go there. No. If you're going to go to the Chinese market, you might get 0.02% of it, right? Don't think that because you have 4% of a market in Australia, you'll get 2% in China. It won't be like that. You've got to think about the growth that's there, the pestle, the 5 forces in that market. Is the value proposition right? It might be right with your product in your current market. Doesn't mean it's right either with a new customer segment. In fact, it probably isn't in terms of a value proposition, or a new geographic market, new cultures, right? Do you have the ability to get your product into the customer's hands? Distribution, as you know, always bang on about, is absolutely key. Now, we had the pre-webinar questions. Tony is pushing to move to a new geographic market. So what options does he have? All right, let's talk about the positive, the negative for each entry, each possible entry of new market options. The study guide discusses. And then also, what about accounting issues that he can face in terms of this global expansion? These are some of the points that you might want to have considered. Exporting. So what they do now, they export to Asia. It's allowed to get their products into Asia relatively quickly. But you don't generally get the market penetration you want for fast growth with export. Not as fast as other options. The case talks about the possible compliance issues, right? Phil, the CFO, raises the Forex issues. And I can't remember if it's Rhonda, what her name is, that's about the customs issues and how not easy to do this. But they are doing it now. Your financial returns are generally a bit lower than other methods. All right? Smith, as Rhonda, isn't it, raised the issues of packaging and relationships with export agents. Licensing, great. Low setup costs. Someone else is going to make this damn product and they're probably going to distribute it and I'm going to get a cut. I'm giving them the rights to do it. Ability to enter the market quickly. Why would you not go down this path for Go Gear? Because of technology leakage. Doesn't matter what you sign, IP very quickly goes out the window when you license your product to somebody else, especially if your product's doing very, very well. All right? It might sound cynical, but bloody hell, the evidence is there. Read the news articles. I've got mates that have been in export businesses. Unfortunately, Asia is a common issue, and their IP goes out the door very quickly. Market penetration they need may not happen fast enough. But you could argue all of the options not fast enough because Tony's goals are just far too aggressive, aren't they? Franchising, interesting one. They get control of their brand, which is something they seem pretty keen about. And who will run the stores? It's a lower cost than wholly owned operations. The market penetration speed is probably too low for Go Gear's goals. There is a bit of technology leakage again. Financial returns are okay, they're medium, but could take a while to be realised, right? Your franchisees have to also do their bit and run fantastic operations. Right? If they don't run good operations, it doesn't matter what your cut is. If the sales aren't coming through, you're not getting your revenue. The capital cost is going to be higher. And then we know the CFO has an issue with this. All right. Strategic alliance. Speed of entry, not bad. Upfront costs are lower than joint venture and franchising. Higher market penetration is possible. Technology leakage is still there, but not the same as licensing. Managerial complexity can be an issue with strategic alliances. Both entities are remaining as they are. They're trying to work together. What you often find is things like IT systems do not work well together. A classic with the airlines, and I'll drop you from Dubai and I promise those guys will pick you up. Sometimes it works, sometimes your bags go through, sometimes they don't. Joint venture, high market penetration possible, high financial returns if successful, faster speed of entry. Can be costly, can be quite costly, and the penetration not as good as wholly owned, but of course the problem with wholly owned is it costs a bomb, high upfront costs and risky. What the hell do you do if it doesn't work? Your exit strategy for licensing is dead simple. Your exit strategy for wholly owned is not dead simple at all. You do get to control your IP. That's the best for controlling your IP, your brand, control over the way that you market the product. Acquisition, similar to wholly owned, you acquire somebody else, you want someone that's already got penetration, and you want someone that's got the distribution channels, which I guess is part of the penetration, but they've got them well set up. Very, very costly. As pointed out, they're going to struggle to do it. There's no right or wrong answer with this. So there's exam questions on it. I think they were around give 2 positive and 2 negative points about licensing. Give 2 positive and negative points about wholly owned operations. Right? Bang, they're there. You can do it. The written questions, not MCQs. All right, what about accounting issues? And this is sort of the end of module 4. It's a bit tacked on, but there's some important stuff there, and we have a video on it, on 2 of the things. If you sell in another country, you receive cash in that currency, right? Fine, but you've got to convert it. So Forex risk has to be considered. Right? The thing with Forex, though, is it's always easy to write it's a risk. It's not always a key risk if you can hedge against some of it. Hedging depends on the size of your company and how much you're willing to do, and the ability to hedge. So different products, you're hedging on wheat, everyone's hedging on wheat. The cost to do so is a lot less than hedging on other things, right? But even a wheat company doesn't hedge for everything. It's impossible. There's a point where it's no longer cost effective. So you have to accept high volatility of movements are still going to hurt you. So with the oil, everyone was hedging on oil, but nobody expected the drop in price that occurred. So they're all saying, oh, bugger, I've already locked in futures contracts to pay $86 a barrel because it was sitting at 92, but it's now 55, right? But yeah, when those contracts run out, you then try and hedge yourself at 57 because the market is going to go back up, but that's a lot better than 82. Multiple accounts, extra administrative burden ongoing, mainly affects wholly owned, joint venture, and perhaps franchising to an extent, right? Having to prepare different sets of accounts because we're in different countries. Incompatible systems, yeah, big one. Getting IT to talk to each other. I'm not going to say any more than that. It's a pain in the butt. Taxation and transfer pricing. Different jurisdictions, different tax requirements, yes. Transfer pricing, again, difficult one. Should be done at market rates. Is it always? No. Did Chevron just get absolutely done a year ago or 2 years ago by the ATO? Completely. What they were doing was I don't know, completely unethical as well. If you remain ethical, it's fine. But it's just so tempting for these companies to push the boundaries on it. And this one is really important. Different countries have a different way of doing business. There's cultural differences. There's hierarchical differences. There's the way you deal with government over their differences. Asia is very different to do business in than it is Australia. It's simple as that. Brings you back to some of your pestle influences as well. As an example, Bellamy's, massive blow they suffered when China just went, no, your license is suspended. Okay, they've built a new canning facility and they're ready to go. Now the share price got slammed, and if you bought it at the bottom, if you took the risk going, well, China will eventually let them back in. They will do all the negotiations they have to get back in. Then you did very well because they boom back up. But it's fine to go and invest in infant product formula, but wow, it is a risky business. You want to be diversified and not just investing in 3 companies doing that just because you see in lights, oh my God, I'm going to get a 35% return instead of an 8% return. Very risky. Any stage, a government can turn off the tap for these companies. Okay, so there's the ability to evaluate the impact of accounting issues with this global expansion. 2 good videos. Have a look at entering new markets. Have a look at this specific one on Forex and transfer pricing issues. I think I even talk about Chevron. Shot that a while ago. Don't assume that a new market is always a geographic one. Right? New markets, new customer markets can sometimes be easier to enter and cheaper to enter and just as rewarding. For instance, we have, this is typical you, but it may not be, as a professional, high-performing CPA student, right? Helping you achieve mastery, do as best as you can in your exams, get through, go for that next job. But we also help CPAs meet their professional development requirements. We help corporates try and deal with talent management, finding the best people. These are newer products for us, and we still got more work to do on them, but they're new customer markets, right? Or we pick up what we're doing here. We can pick up what we're doing here and go, right, we're off to the States. Not Silicon Valley, move somewhere else where it's nice and sunny. And we try and crack the US market by being over there, right? Different geography, just say similar customer market. CPA exams over there are different as well, but it's not the same as offering PD. Briefly on mergers and acquisitions. Generally, mergers don't work very well. They fail in terms of realizing the benefits. As the managing consultants love to say, these synergies that you will get. It's often down to cultural issues, the 2 companies coming together. Very often there's overpriced, massively overpriced intangible assets, failed corporate governance, systems integration, and more. Home base is not a merger; it's an acquisition. You're merging 2 cultures. It's not been the only issue, But holy hell, they're just about to write, I think it's up to 900 million that Wesfarmers are going to write off that Bunnings acquisition and move into a new geographic market in the UK. The point of doing it is consolidation in your industry, shakeout phase in the industry life cycle, maturity phase, and you have the cash to spend, and you want to milk your cash cow product, and you can also do it by grabbing somebody else's, getting more reach, better distribution channels, vertical integration. Right? Companies do it, they go, I can make more. Again, the consultants come in and say, hey, you can get your cost down. Instead of getting someone to co-manufacture it, do it yourself. All right? Go back up the chain, vertically integrate, or go down the chain. Immediate diversification, always risky one again. Why? Because companies think they can sell all of these different products. So my wife, I may have said it before, was it Lion Nathan and Kirin, the big Japanese company, owned Lion Nathan. Sorry, she was at National Foods, and they bought National Foods that had milk and juice, and they thought, yeah, you sell milk and juice like you sell beer. No, you don't. And they ballsed it up. All right? Now, we don't know the exact amounts because Kirin and Japanese, they came off the Australian market. We do know that they wrote off 1.2 billion associated with National Foods. Right? I think they paid 1.1. They wrote off the whole acquisition cost. And I'm amazed each time that more heads don't roll in companies. Because if I was the chair, the CEO would be out the bloody door. And I suppose you have to reflect on the chairmanship and the board as to why you approved it, when there seems to be so many of these that do not realise value, the whole value of the acquisition cost. I don't know, find it bizarre. All right. Some other problems. Short-term value they're looking for. Why? It's linked to bonuses. Cash benefits through tax breaks. Immediately online. Not online on the web. Online as in you now just start selling. You pick up Homebase. The next hammer that goes through the store goes to a Bunnings revenue line. All right. Debt leverage. So about you being seen as the capital growth stock and not an income stock. Possible immediate savings that never seem to be realised. This is just the thing that I find so damaging and so influential as to why they don't work. All right, we've wrapped up module 4. So cool, well done. We go into module 5. Remember, yes, this is a pre-recording. Send me questions, gsl@knowledgeequity.com.au, and we'll also go through some more quiz questions, and we'll have more Q&A when I see you next live. Module 5. Got a few different things in it. Vision, mission, goals. One succinct section at the start. Then we talk about strategic options. You've got to get to a decision. You've done all this external analysis, all this internal analysis. Now it's time to make a damn choice. How do you make the choice? You've got to evaluate. There's a whole heap of criteria you can use. You've got to select some criteria. All right. You've got to think about your risks through implementation, because this is where so much of it goes wrong. Think about your strategic themes and your options. Think about your projects. So that's covered more in module 6. You've got to have some sort of a plan though. And we're trying to, I think we're trying to mold in every year or 18 months in the GSL study guide, this idea of how we use data analytics more and more to assist in choosing a strategic option and then linking. Objective 11 is really linking out between module 5 and module 6 in terms of implementation and monitoring. All right, let's have a look at the first part. So, the vision. Pause, have a go at this quiz. All right, that's the answer. Sometimes people do pick vision, right? But those prompt questions are actually about a mission statement. Now, I don't want people to get too caught up. They get a bit anxious about, I can't split the vision to a mission. And here's a sort of a way of explaining it. It's our first objective. Remember the vision, what the organisation aspires to be. or even better, I like it. It's a summary of the desired future state. Right? The mission does not have that element of this is the desired future state. The mission is about how we're going to get there. What are we going to be, in a way, known for as a brand? But companies mix this up, and people, just because the study guide says it's this way, is not actually the way it's always perceived across industries. Google, to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Disney, to be one of the world's, you would say, to be the world's, one of the world's leading producers and providers of entertainment and information. Vision, to sell food in a fast, friendly environment that appeals to price-conscious, health-minded consumers. Yeah. What? Health-minded consumers. This is what the organisation actually does, the mission. Why do we exist? Summarises the goals into something that's short and easy to memorise. But look, Google, it's the same. Their mission and their vision in terms of statement is the same. This one's a bit better. So, where was Disney before? Disney was to be one of the world's leading producers and providers. That's your future state vision. What's our actual mission? Well, it's just to make people happy. I kind of get that. Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is a not-for-profit charitable foundation. We grant the wishes of children with life-threatening medical conditions to enrich the human experience with hope, strength, and joy. That's what we do. It's kind of that, what's our DNA? Why do we exist? Not so much it's got an element of mission, but that's much more about what our desired future state is. This is just simply saying this is what we want to achieve. Values, to be really clear with, now they're not always, sometimes values in an organisation, and you should know your own, can be accountability, transparency, integrity, and they're fine. They're fine as one words. In this example, I've just used Google again. It's a bit different, and the last one's really interesting to me. Because we're going to talk about big data and analytics and whatnot, perhaps this should become a value for a lot more companies. Create an environment you flourish and grow, challenge each other's ideas openly, right? Constructive criticism. Don't take the word openly as to just telling people, hey, your idea is crap. Value diversity, really important. Still, companies are struggling to get their head around the huge advantages in having a diverse organisation, and use data to make decisions, an interesting one. Goals, the key outcomes you want to achieve. It has something about SMART. I think that's in SMA as well. So remember that: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. Right? Should link clearly so that the organisation, if the organisation achieves its goals, it should be able to achieve its vision and its mission. Really, both. Right? Ones that are better are ones that have numbers and are a bit more specific. Increase market share by 10%. Reduce production costs by 15%, establish a presence in the Asian market in 2 years, improve customer service by a certain percentage within a certain time frame. Yeah? All right. Read up on that section. There is there, I think there's a vid in the system, and there should be a mini quiz, I think, with that one. Strategic options and strategic themes are the same thing, but the terms are used by different authors in the study guide and industry. Is that true or false? Yeah, that's false. They're not. Options and themes are meant to be different. Okay, this is the objective we're talking about. We've got to this point of all of this external analysis, internal analysis, then further analysis about, well, what could our products be? Is there a new market we might want to go into? So in Module 4, you've already started to explore strategic options. Module 5 is it's a bit more of summarizing them now, evaluating them, making a decision about which one. So you're looking at these opportunities. Are you going to, could be not going to a new market, we're consolidating our position, we're defending from new entrants. We might be expanding to new markets, we might be diversifying. If we are, which products and markets? Not just, it's Ansoff, we're going to do diversification. So what? Which products, which markets, why, and do you have the strategic capabilities, linking straight back to module 3. Then we have this thing about levers versus drivers. It quite rightly causes confusion. It's just, look, it's just a bit complicated the way that the CPA have done it, and some people have advised them to change that, but it just unfortunately hasn't occurred yet. So we look back to module 3, and we're talking about this idea of strategic drivers, all right? Industries, markets, channels, customers, and getting to competitive advantage. Does this organization have a competitive advantage in the market/industry they're in now against their competitors? We also have the understanding of the operational drivers, right? Linked to, yes, how do you measure them with a balanced scorecard? How do you know whether the products you've got are dogs or cash cows? But it's still coming back to where do our revenues come from? Where are our costs weighted, distributed? How have we been growing? How do we plan to grow? Operational drivers. And people and organizational drivers, much more around learning, capabilities, development, and values. How do you deliver on them? You have to consider things like structure of the organization, shared values, skills, the things that are in the McKinsey 7S model that we'll come to in module 6. Right? Then we have this thing of what levers do we pull in order to implement our strategic options. Right? The study guide starts to bring in costs, revenues, resources, activities, structure, skills, capabilities, values. And you're going, well, they're levers, but these are drivers, or are they levers? Because now I've got this figure 5.5, and I've got strategic options that has drivers, but then I'm pulling on revenue, I'm pulling on a structure. Right? Okay, and it confuses me too. Think about it this way: you don't pull a strategic lever of revenue or costs or growth. They are outcomes you're trying to achieve. Also think of it this way: strategic drivers and levers are in a sense the same thing. All right? It really shouldn't say strategic options so much. They're the drivers that you've analyzed after you know what the external environment's going to be like, and you're going to use some of them. They're your, and you know what, in a way, they're your levers more so. You're going to utilize and exploit your channels to market because they're strong, and use that to push a few new products. But it's the channels that are so strong, your customer relationships are so strong. Why do you have this competitive advantage? Because you do amazing new product development in compression wear. Great, fantastic. Products is going to be part of the driver for your strategic options, right? What are you trying to do with that? Well, in this case, not reduce costs. You are trying to grow your revenue. You are trying to grow your business into new geographical areas, right? Do you have to change your structure, your skills? Not necessarily, but the co-manufacturer for the clothing doesn't have the capabilities at the moment. So how are we going to deal with that? All right. I hope, and please contact me if it's still confusing, that clarifies it a bit. I just don't want people to get worried. Yeah. I think there was a question a few exams ago that talked about discuss the five levers, and it threw people, and it was wrong to ask it that way because it was not lining up to the study guide. Those levers were the strategic drivers, which is shown here as option. They were talking about the 5, and people went here going, there's 3 and 3. Am I discussing both of these? Why they said strategic? I'm confused. I'm lost. All right, and there isn't just 3 and 3. There are more. All right, so your values, organizational people lever, is your values. Your values should be a great thing within GoGear, but it's being damaged by Tony. It should be a thing that they use, values to help be lean, to be entrepreneurial, to do this great R&D in small batches but produce amazing products. Right? That's a lever, something you're, I guess, drawing on. All right, fantastic. That's the end of this one. Thank you very much for watching this, hopefully participating and pausing, doing that short case on Kluger systems. I hope that helped again. Next week, we will continue with Module 5, and we're going to get to the evaluation criteria. and we'll probably be able to move into module 6 and even get to talk about McKinsey 7S, which is a really good model for implementation as well. All right, so we'll be working more to an extent. We've covered off this. We want to get into this, and then probably that as well in week 7. It leaves us plenty of time to get through the rest of 6 and module 7, which is a hard one because it's very soft skills and it's very much about leadership. So thanks again. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you next week. And don't forget to finish your mid-semester test if time hasn't run out. All right, you probably already done it before you watch this recording. Catch you later.